Hi, everybody. Scott, Harish, Prisha, Ian, how is everybody? Thank you for tuning in to our Tech Talk here in July. I am excited because I've been learning a lot about web stuff, and I was really excited to hear that Luis Felipe is going to be doing a Tech Talk today on Selenium, which is great for web testing. It's not something that I know a lot about. Was a tester at one point, but not on the web. And so this is going to be an exciting talk. So we've got Luis here. We've got a whole bunch of other people. We are recording this. So if you missed part of it or you want to watch it later, we'll have it up on the YouTube channel just as soon as we can. Without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Luis, and off you go. Thanks, Luis.
Okay. Hello. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. I'm very happy. Good morning. And as John says, we're going to be talking about Selenium. So first, I can give you a little introduction on it. And I'm going to share my screen at this point. So web scraping and automate testing with Selenium. It's an open source project, which is good and it's free. And it gives us a lot of tools to do web testing. Also, to do web scraping, very powerful and effective and easy to use. When it's compared with other web testing softwares, it says that it requires higher coding skills than other paid softwares that are commercially available. So people usually prefer those softwares, but for people with coding skills, then it's much likely to be used. And it also supports, and that's very good, multiple programming languages. So it's not exclusively for Python, but actually supports Java, C#, Ruby, JavaScript, and Kotlin as well. So basically what we will do, we're just gonna explore some different options that Selenium have. I'm gonna live code an example how to do a test, and we're gonna see different cases by usernames, passwords, when something goes wrong or good. And what I expect everybody to learn after this talk is an overview of the capabilities of this module, better idea with Selenium, and that everybody just get one more tool for web scraping and testing. So before begin to code, I would like to share the documentation of Selenium. Is this one. Is very complete. Everything is here. Of course, anything that I need for this talk, I found here. And especially here in the actions, there are like things that you can do with the keyboard, with the mouse, like clicking in buttons and sending like username, like writing in the web page through the computer as if you are a real user. So this is the official documentation. But while doing this, I found it extremely useful to use this other documentation, which is not official, but it teach me a lot, and I went very fast finding everything because it's also very well structured. So if you're coding and you can get between both of them, for sure you're gonna go through all what is needed. And then this is the website that we're going to be testing. Is meant for that. So it's not like some random website of somebody that we're just going to be entering. So it's meant for testing. It's like a shop, like Amazon or these online shops that have products. And I just want to show it a little bit before. So this is the usernames. This is the passwords that we can use. We log in, and it's basically, yeah, like a shop. So let's see, something was marked from my last time. So let's see, we want to buy these two items, and we go here. Here's what we want. We're gonna go here. Here we just can, yeah, put our information, continue, and by that point we will be finished. And this is what we want. It's like if it is our website, and we're developing it, and we want to make sure it's working. So this is gonna be our goal. And also here, for those like me that are new to web scraping, there is this tool called Inspect that will give us the source code, and we can see, because it's part of the web browser, we can see all the elements. So for example, I can mark this space and I know all the information here, even for sure locally, I can even change the size or colors of the images. But at this point, we want to be able to find things like username, password, this button, and this is gonna have a lot of useful information like ID, name, class, tags. So we're gonna use all of that. So coming back to, we're gonna be a lot of inspecting, a lot of coding, trying, seeing if it works. Now, coming back to the coding, we can, I'm gonna import the models that we need. So random, I'm gonna use for selecting randomly things. Selenium, and we're gonna use something called WebDriver, which is gonna be literally the tool that that goes into our actions with the website. Then the service.
Hey, Luis, sorry to interrupt. One quick question. Is it possible for you to make
Sure.
the text on your screen a little bit bigger?
Oh, sure. Let me.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for telling me. Otherwise, I will have not noticed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
So service is a tool that we are going to use to install the driver. I'm going to explain what is that. Chrome driver manager. So we're going to be doing this on Chrome. It can be done in Firefox, and I think there are a couple more added recently. But well, for this talk, I just choose Chrome, and time is going to be also needed. I'm going to declare two variables. Also, I didn't introduce it, and sorry, I'm doing it in Python for those who are also new. So this is Python, and we are gonna do it in Python. Also, something very great about this documentation is that all the time it gives us the examples in different languages. So it's very handy and very easy to use. So coming back to the code, I will put the URL of our website that we want to test, in this case, as the developers. Here, the options is something that Selenium will use to add features to the way we're going to interact with the website, and this is vast. It can go from, for example, here I'm saying the size of the resolution that I want, but also we can do, if you want to go headless mode, if you want to ignore pages that have a expired security certificate and you still want to go to them, is vast. It's a big list of options, very long to explore. But for this case, this is going to be enough for us. And in this line, we can use these options. Then to initialize the driver, we are going to use the service, the Chrome driver manager, and we are going to install it in the computer if it's not installed. Before, it has to be like manually downloaded into a reference folder, but now it's much more easy. And it's just with this line of code, Python do everything and checks that actually you have the latest version. If you don't have, it updates. In this line, we are going to open the website, and we are gonna maximize the window anyway to be able to see it completely. And here I put some sleeping time, which is gonna be for us to, the computer don't close it immediately because it will do it very fast. It will do computer speed. So we would like to see it happening a little bit. So just at this moment, if there is any question, maybe I can run it if there is no questions.
So far, so good.
Okay, so we run and it will open. Okay, and this is what we want for now. At least we managed to enter through the computer into a website. This is the link. Is Chrome saying is being controlled by automate testing and is not logged into my account. And here we can begin to put username and different things. So if I will not have put the time sleep, it will be closed now, but I will manually close it each time that we are doing it. And I'm now here, I will put again a 1 second only. So we continue and we can see the progress, and it can be like we can follow it. So now I want to insert the username. as first thing, when I show how I did, we see that we have to put the username here, then this password here, and then we click on the button and we will do all that. So this is like what we want to do. And I'm gonna first declare which is the selected user, which is very careful, the underscore here, it has to match, of course, what is needed to be put. Otherwise, it will be like a user that is not registered. And we are gonna driver find element by ID. So that will be a tool that will help us to find specific things on the website. So if we come here, we select this, we see that there is some attribute called ID, and in this case is user-name, and then for this one it's going to be password. So we can use this exclusive identifier to find elements very easy. When they are very repetitive, this name can be the same for all of them, so we have to use different options. So in this case, we're gonna do find element, and when it is in singular, it gives you the first one that is in the source code, or if you put find elements, it will give a list of all of them. So of course, depending in the case, we will use a different one. Then clear is to delete anything that probably could be there from any past interaction. Then we are gonna send keys, which is an action that Selenium can do to type in the web page. And we're gonna sleep for 1 second just to see how it's doing it. At the same time, as it's very mechanical, very repetitive, I'm gonna do the same for the password. Here I'm declaring the name. We're gonna find the element by password ID, by ID, which is password. And I want to show it just very quickly, so we are really convinced that it's true. ID is password, and when you are coding, you can double click here and you can copy from here, so it's very fast, very express. Or if you want to copy this whole element, it gives many copy options, like XPath is also one way to find element by XPath. So it's very express and avoids a lot of typo errors. Mistakes, sorry. We're gonna clear the space, send keys, and sleep. So if we run this, let's see how it looks. Okay. Okay. So it's actually doing it. Now we want that it clicks in the login button and goes to the next page. So I'm gonna click delete this one, and the login button, again, as is a unique element, is very easy to find by ID, and it's gonna be called a login button. I will show very quick here. The ID is login button, and we're gonna click on it. So this is a different action. Here we are sending keys, and in this case, we make a web element object, and one of the actions that you can apply to it is a click. So we're gonna click on it, and before proceeding, just go further here, we're gonna go to this page and we're gonna want to know what to do. So here we're gonna see as a user the products, and we would like to click in those buttons. So having that in mind, just let's try this, and I'm gonna put some sleeping time here so we can see it. It will run. And I was very surprised when I did this first time, because it feels really like teaching a computer to go, okay, now we are in this page, and here we have to find a way to select buttons. And also, well, this is also a button, so it's a little bit tricky. We don't want to include it. And then whatever we select here, we will want to click on here. So this is our next step. Okay. I call this section like clicking into something. So basically, I'm gonna make a search by list. So we're gonna find all the buttons. To make sure we find them, I select one button, and I see that the ID in this case is not very useful, because it's like a specific name that says sauce, lab, like. And then if I select into this one, for example, it will be labs backpack. So I don't want to enumerate all of them, but these that you see here, the word button in light sky blue is called tag. So we actually can find elements by tag name. That complete and useful and powerful is this Selenium. So when we search by button, we are going to find all the buttons, including this one as well. So we also have to make sure, because this is a button, that I don't want to include this as a product, because I will tell eventually the program you select 5 or 4 or 3 of them. And I don't want that gets confused with that one. Okay, so I do this action, driver find elements by tag name button. It will find all the buttons. Then I make an empty list and I make a loop that for button in all buttons, if the button dot text is add to cart, just put it in my list. So how to know that? So let's come to one of the buttons that we really want, and we set this add to cart, actually with the spaces. In programming is common to don't put sometimes a space or something like that, but in this case, we respecting the spaces, we're gonna access the correct value. So as you see, it has the space. And also I have to know how to access this value. In the code, I'm calling it button.text, but there is not like an attribute here that suggests me, like when I saw ID, that suggests me this is the text. And this is also very important to mention that we're gonna be doing a lot of debugging during the process, and there are gonna be objects, and these objects have part of their attributes. We're gonna find these values, and we're gonna find the number, the name of the attribute, and how to access it. So there is like a very iterative process, but slowly we find that this is the condition, and we can put it in the list. Also, for making this case, we're gonna want to buy something. So I make a function that is called buy products and ask you which is the list of products that I can buy and how many you want. So I'm just gonna take a sample, a random sample out of it. And for each one of them, I'm just gonna click on it because there are web elements. You can click on it, and we're gonna sleep 1 second to make sure everybody can see, otherwise we'll go very fast. Again, I know it sounds like a lot, but sure we will soon we will be, if there's any question, and we can run it one more time. So I ask the user how many you want, and also we apply the function of buying products in how many the user selects. So if there is no questions, I can run it again to just show everybody. Okay, so we run, opens, username, password, click, and now it will stop here because it's waiting for me. Here in the execution is asking me how many I want. So I'm gonna put it like this. Let's say we want 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now at this point we will so we make a program that actually goes with a username, put a password, and go into shop and select things. And now we want to click in the buttons in this button to pay, for example. So going back to the inspecting, we're gonna touch this button, and we see that in this case now we don't have ID, so we're gonna use the class name. So for that, sorry, here, okay, I call this variable link, like the link to the next page, finding element by class name, and it's gonna be shopping cart link, just to make sure and show everybody, shopping cart link with the underscore. So this text add to cart didn't have to have underscores, but all the other names in the source code are having underscores. So it's like one aspect that we have to take care, like how do we write it. We click on it and we wait, and we're gonna go to the next page. So for example, let's say we're gonna buy these 2 things. We go here, and in this page, we're just gonna basically want to click in this button. So this button will be very easy to find with the ID, which is checkout. And when we click here, we are gonna want to write our names here. So let's do that part. So I put shopping cart link there, then to pay, because supposedly now I cross to the next page. I'm gonna find element by ID again with checkout as argument. We're gonna click on this proceed, is the name of the variable, it can be anyone. And then we're gonna wait again 1 more moment. We can run this. Okay, Okay. Okay. Here it's asking me, it's waiting for me to tell. Let's say we want to buy, I don't know, 3 this time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's going. Check out. Okay, and now it's waiting for me here. So coming back to this part is very similar to the, as you all can see, it's very mechanical. So it's a lot of knowing exactly which is the piece and then doing very similar actions. So is exactly the same part of doing the username and password. So maybe I will go a little bit faster in that moment, in this case. So first name is a variable I make. We're gonna find element by ID with the argument first name. And in this case, we have to, of course, to come to the place here and see that the ID is first dash name, last dash name, and postal dash code. So we want to do those 3. We're gonna find the element. In this case, there's only one element. Otherwise, you will find many or only the first one. So you have to make sure each time you are finding the right thing. We're gonna clear the space. Here I put my name, but of course it can be any value. And we're gonna wait the waiting time. Just to take all of you a little bit faster through this process that is repetitive. I'm just changing last name, postal code, the values, and even this continue button is the same. It's just a web element that we can click on it and we can find by ID, which is continue. So I'm going to include that also.
Luis, don't forget to move your demo time sleep to the bottom, or it'll stop for 300 seconds there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have demo time sleep?
Yeah.
No, you have it in the middle somewhere. You didn't move it down.
Yeah. Thank you. Here it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So here we will click in all the buttons and go to the last page. Even if we want to see how it will look that, if I continue here, we will see this page. And also we will see this button, which is the button that we want to click on to finish the purchase. Of course, for testing purposes, we can be testing already so many things. Like if this is what we really select, if it's the right name, if it's the right price, if this sum is done properly. But for the purpose of this talk, and also because of the limited time, we are just more driving through it. And I will show some other testing that we can do. So here, this button is ID, the finish. Finish is the ID. So I'm just gonna include it also to complete the process and take all of you to the whole page. We find the button by ID, name is finished. We click on it, we wait, and here very important, we close the driver. The driver, as when we write in a TXT file, is at the end we want to close it. Otherwise, it will remain open and it can keep interacting with itself or give unexpected behaviors in bigger tests. So it's a very good practice to close it when you know you want to close it. Okay, and this we don't need anymore. And I run this and we see fully and we can see if there is any question at this point. Okay. Okay. Here is going to ask me how many do I want of something. Let's put this time maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it goes. It goes. Luis Hernandez, some number. Okay, and it click on it and it closes. So this is the first part that I prepared to show how to sort through a website, finding elements, which tools we are going to use, that is inspecting, coding, and debugging. These 3 tools is basically going to have all the information plus the documentation that we saw. So if there is any questions, I'm very happy to see them. And I have a part B, which change the username and do some other examples.
So we don't have a couple of people up here, including myself, think this is actually really cool. This, Jared thought it was cool. I look at this. I remember the first automated test tools that I ever used way back in the way back, and this is a lot easier. So this is, I'm kind of digging this, and I can already see how I could make use of this and how I can, you know, do things with the website that I'm working on. So I'm pumped right now. So this is cool.
Thank you. So if there is no more questions, I can show the case B, or the second case. So I'm just gonna delete everything to show the full to go again fully. And of course, we're gonna go faster in what we know, in what I show already. So for example, this page is so cool, is so intended for learning that they do some broken users. So we learn to find mistakes. For example, a lockout user is somebody who will not have access anymore, and I will find this message. Or for example, if I put maybe here my name, what will happen? Because this says it's lockout. Maybe, oh no, in this case, as we see, it's gonna be that is not matching any password, so it's not registered. For example, this problem user, very interesting. It will give me just something that is wrong. And we want to make sure we find out this. And also maybe we want to select things, and this I'm clicking right now and it's not able to select. So we can only select 4 instead of the 6, but this even changed each time. So we want to make sure we catch that error. But let's say even we go like that and we click in the button and we check out. When I try to put my name, no, so it's always giving these problems, and I type enter and it will take me back, and here it will not even let me put the last name. So we're gonna find these aspects, and the performance glitch user is like a user which is gonna be very slow. So we're gonna see all these through coding. So I already click on login, but it's not logging. So that can be taken as a runtime exception, that it has to be performed the duty before this time, and otherwise let me know. So coming to the code, I will go a little bit fast because I know the time now is short, but we already know a big part of it. So in this file, we will test different users, and we will see problems, and we will see how to trace those problems, which is a great thing I learned now with the capstone I'm doing, is the login section, which is going to be extremely useful for software developing because we will catch up what is going on and what happened at what point, which was the interaction, which is the exception, and that will help us as developers to go to the solution faster. So I'm gonna make a function that just basically put a timestamp of the hour, the minute and second we are doing the process. We know the times already. Also, as you saw in the page, we're gonna have these 4 users, and I include one that I just named one new user to see what happened when you are not registered. Ask is a variable that I'm gonna ask you here through the command line. Of course, this can be automated, but for the sake of talking in this talk, I make that we're gonna select like use 1 or 2 or 3. So it's gonna be in here, while ask is not in the range 1 to 5, which is these 5 ones. Keep asking me which user you want to use. Here also, I just give some hints. This will not be a problem. This is banned. You will suffer a lot with this problem user, and this will be stuck, and this doesn't exist. And here we just make the assignations with the if statements. So that being done, here for the sake of knowing which user I'm using, I'm gonna print it in my terminal, but this is not needed at all. I can take it straight to the logger, or I will know which one I'm using, but just for the sake of this moment, we will print it. Also here, the sauce, secret sauce password, we included, and this is the logger section. So very recently ago, I didn't know nothing about logger, and when I first saw about it, it was very overwhelming, but it's very well documented as anything in Python, and it's very easy to understand. And here I will explain each line, and it's very useful and good to implement. So don't be afraid. And I was very afraid each time, first time I saw it, but then we will see breaking in little pieces. So it makes it easier. So first, we define the logger. Here, I just have to give some name to it. Otherwise, it's going to be some default name like root user. So we do this by logging, which is a module that we import on the top part, get logger, and we give the name. Here, I want to generate some name for the log, which is going to be useful for me, like at which day I'm doing the test and probably who is the user that I'm testing. So in this case, we're going to do another timestamp. I'm going to put this variable called as day, and the selected user, and very important, I will call it log. At the end, it will be very similar to a TXT file, but of course, this is a good practice. Then the logging handler, file handler. Basically, this is gonna put our logger into a position in the disk. It will save it into a disk space, and it will write to it. So it's very similar than when we said with, open, the name of the file, write as file, 2 dots, and like that. We write in TXT or CSV in Python. And this is kind of the equivalent. Actually, even have the option for append, write, read. So the default mode is append. So I didn't include it. Also here, we select the path of our computer. And as I'm not doing it headless, I'm doing it in Windows because my computer is Windows. So if I do Linux, it has to be headless because I have WSL. That's why also the path looks like this. And this is for the F string, and this is for the raw path. So also I learned we can mix them together and it works. Now the formatter, actually the logger, what generates is a log record, and we want to be something that humans can read, like a string. So like this, we transform whatever is coming into a string, and we put it as a message. Then we assign the formatter to the handler, and then we add the handler to the logger, and the set level is going to establish which is the level of priority that we want to, from this moment of priority, you take the logs, which are 6 levels, which are critical, error, warning, info, debug, and not set, going from top priority to down priority. So in this case, I just put info, which is basically just information of what is going on. From that level of priority, take all the logs. So here I'm gonna begin the execution of the program by saying time it, put the timestamp, say that we are beginning the session, say which user we are using, and the password. Also, I'm going to include the options for Selenium that we already knew what they do. We're going to include the website, of course, that we want to use. The procedures to open the driver, open the page, maximize sleeping time. Here the username and password, we don't change the way we're doing it. And now we want to click into the login button, but we already saw that there are going to be problems sometimes. So I was thinking how to find this problem, and if we go to the page, and I'm just going to log out here. Here you can see that is a source demo only. And if we put here, for example, yeah, a standard user. Standard user. And we go with the password. We're gonna see that now it's called something different, right? So this is gonna be my way to control if you're proceeding good in the testing, and of course it will differ from website to website. We have to be very creative, and of course, as we're the developers, we will know it very well. So we will be also able to find ways to have these ideas. So I want to use current URL, which is very easy, just one command, one line. Selenium will tell me which is the current URL in this point. So I want to say, if you are not where you're supposed to be, just give me an alert, which is this link that we just saw. I show it again. Is this inventory? So we want, this is the current URL. If it's not, just tell me. We're gonna print this again in the terminal for the sake of this presentation. We're gonna print a successful login with this user, this password, but also we're gonna throw it the same way to the logger. If you're not here, it means that you put some user that has a problem. So we're gonna find the element and accessible name. Again, I find by debugging. So is this iterative process will tell us the proper attribute that we have to use for each variable. So let's go here and I show how to find it. Let's put locked user, secret sauce. And here, as we don't move forward, we find that the tag is h3 and it has some message. Before it was text, now it's called a accessible name. So it's always changing, and we have to be very, very patient in that process to find the real way to access each value. So now I'm gonna have the message that is giving, and I said, okay, if the message is sorry, this user has been logged out, I know that I give this information to the logger, and I said, no, if the message says username and password do not match, I give this other information to the logger. I close it because it means there is a problem already, and I quit the execution of the program, in this case, for this test, of course. And I want to show something else. Of course, it's not practical at all for the problem user when we see the docs images to just compare later with a human being if the image is correct. There are many ways to programmatically compare images, like if this image is same to this image, and there are many ways to compare them. But in this case, just to show also the strength and how easy is it to, for example, take screenshots with Selenium, I make this little case, which is called take a screenshot. So let's say that you move forward already to the right place with all the different products. I will say, well, I'm giving a name that is going to be like useful for me, like the time and the selected user and .png needed by Selenium to know that it's an image. And then here, attention, you will have to have this folder created in your computer beforehand. Otherwise, Selenium will not find it and will not make will just delete the screenshot. And it's very easy to do the screenshot. It's just driver.save screenshot and you put the path. If you don't put the path, it just saves locally. But to organize testing, we want to have like a nice folder with the names and everything. And if that happened, I put that the screenshot was saved successfully. And if not, we give this exemption because we don't want our test to just fail completely because it have an exemption and it was not handled. So then now the next part, this is basically the new, what was new feature. So I'm just gonna copy paste the code and we do some runnings with everything if time is still available. Like otherwise, if I have to finish now, you can please let me know and I will finish. And actually, in how many? Okay, I can copy and paste sorry, I can copy and paste the rest of the code and it will be done. So we can test it. Okay. So I know it's a little bit overwhelming, almost 200 lines, but all this is known for us. And this is the new parts. And I include something new here. The count the items part is gonna be in the section here where we go with problem user. And for example, I want to have 6 purchases, but here is only 4 appearing. So when I click on this element, I see that it's called shopping cart batch and it has a 4. So I want to access this number and I make a little procedure for that. It's gonna find the element shopping cart batch and we're gonna access the text. I'm making an integer to be able to compare because it's a string. And I say if they're not same, how many I ask to the user and the available there, I'm just gonna print that there is an error. I put it in the logger, close the driver and quit the execution. So it's one more way to catch something and to record that it happened. Okay, so now if it's okay, I can run it. Or if there's any other question before running it. Okay, and I
So
will.
I'm sorry, Luis. One thing that that did pop up. John Sessions actually had asked about doing browser automation or web scraping on websites that you don't own or control, and using the robots.txt file to control that. I'm wondering if you had any insight on that, or if that's something that we can answer at a later time.
So the question is that to use it in websites that I don't know.
Yeah, like
Well,
if you were gonna run this on a website that you didn't write, you didn't create, you're just gonna go and start scraping stuff and start doing all this other stuff, and you know, it's more about the ethics of doing kind of web scraping on sites that you don't know or own. So.
Well, actually, yeah, it's a good question. I was in that situation, and well, this website I didn't make. I just find it in the internet. I Google the question "good websites to test" and to learn how to test. So in this case, I just went manually through the source code, inspecting each button and making sure I find each thing that I want. For example, let's say I want soccer scores. So I went into I know, of course, they have their privacy policy and we have to be very respectful of that. But let's say that, you know, I want them anyway. So I went in their web page, I opened the source code, and I see where they are located, and I learned to scrape through them.
But
Of course, you make first.
Luis, the question isn't exactly about can you do it. I think we all know you can do it. I don't think anyone doubts that. The question is more about what's the ethics behind it, and it's actually I think we can answer this at the end, John, because it's a pretty complicated topic. But the basic answer is though, there's a thing called the robots.txt, which every person's website has, and that robots.txt is on every website, or it should be, and it tells the robots that are coming to visit the site what do we want you to do? How do we, like, if I own a website, I have a robots.txt, and my robots.txt will say, do I want you to scrape me or not? What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? With a thing like Selenium, you can just circumvent all of that, because Selenium is an instrumented browser. And Luis, I don't know if you remember when we were working with Scrapey earlier, Scrapey couldn't get things that Selenium can get. Scrapey is a scraping framework, Python scraping framework, and it works as an automated scraper, but it will comply with all those robots.txt by default. So, but Selenium, on the other hand, is actually imitating a human. So you can actually really circumvent anything with Selenium. It's so as a scraping tool, Selenium is extremely powerful because it really lets you be a human, like a human would do anything. So the ethics, the question is, the ethics is, you know, is it fair, or what's the downside? You know, so the reason why you wouldn't want to scrape people don't want you scraping their websites can be a lot of reasons. But the obvious reason is, one is if you're just every day scraping, or every hour, every minute, like let's say you're trying to scrape eBay, trying to get the best price or something like that. eBay doesn't want that, because you're sending lots and lots of requests at their server, and they're having to just and then you're maybe making a business about selling the information you found to someone else to get them the best price, and you're sort of taking away business from them. So it turns into this big, long, complicated thing. There's actually legal precedent about this. Recently, LinkedIn lost a case that basically they wanted to stop someone from scraping LinkedIn, because they said that's our private stuff. You can't scrape us, and they lost in the 9th court or something like that. So let's defer that. I mean, John, if you have something you want to add, I think you should add it, because you raised it. But I think we should basically, let's just say that as far as web scraping and ethical and robots.txt, this whole thing is kind of a big can of worms, and people fall on it on all kinds of different sides. I think we at CodingNomads would want to say, be respectful of other people's websites. Don't do anything unethical. Use your own sense of ethics. But some things are actually legal, that have legal precedent now. Like, it's publicly, you're allowed to scrape LinkedIn. That's what the courts ruled. So, but it really just depends. But like, I don't think, you know, you don't want to send a scraper at a small website, you know, every 3 seconds trying to get the best price from that small mom and pop website, because it's putting undue stress on the website. So you should obey robots.txt where appropriate, where basically the robot.txt is telling you what they want, how they want people to scrape their site. So yeah, it's kind of a really big topic. Sorry, I took over, Luis. I know
No,
that you're
no,
not fully
thank,
aware of those
thank you.
things.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I
So
think a lot is
what Luis?
Gilad, I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think this is a much bigger topic than what we have time for here, and especially
Yeah.
with the disclaimer that I know I'm not a lawyer, and so I'm not I can't give legal advice or anything like that. So definitely
Exactly.
consult a legal professional if you have questions about that. So.
And we can find lots of resources. We'll post when we post this, and we'll put some link to the forum where people can discuss this, and we can post some really helpful links for how to navigate these issues and what's ethical. What each person can give their own opinion basically, but we don't want to stand either way on that right now in this talk. Selenium is really designed for testing your own websites. That's what it's traditionally been designed for. It's really meant for testing your own website. But it is used as scraping, but it's really meant for making sure your website is functioning correctly. So go ahead, Luis. You can run it.
Okay.
You can keep going.
So thank you. Actually, thank you for all the inputs. Let's run it. So here it's gonna ask me which user I want to use. Let's go safe and just press 1 to make sure everything is working. The standard user. We know how it will go. Standard user, password is working okay. Here is gonna ask me how many I want to buy. So let's say we want to buy maybe 6. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it goes, it moves, put some name and information, and it clicks and close. So that's what we want first to see if it's working. Now let's run it with the problem cases. So let's choose now the problem user. Okay, opens. Gives lockout user. Oh no, this is the lockout user and it's gone. So we don't know what happened. So well, of course, there are some information in the terminal here that it says a problem while logging happened, and this is the message. But much more easy, we have logs that says here a standard user, for example, it says all these sessions have been done already. This is the last one, it was successful. Local user, it says, oh, you have a problem while logging, and this is the message. So for us, it's going to be extremely easy to see if something went wrong, and also screenshots. For example, this one will override because of the name, but for example, it will show us for the user that is that what we are taking. So we can go and see the other cases. So for example, if we select now problem user, which is the 3, we'll open here, we'll put problem user, password, can go to the next side, and here it will ask me how many I want. So in this case, let's select 6. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, so it's not able to select anything else, and it select only 3. And well, in that case, it compared numerically with the shopping cart symbol, and it saw it was not different. But we can check it here in the logs. Now we have a problem user, and it says, oh wait, the page is not recording all the desired items. So like that, we will know how our software is doing. We can then plan tests that just open this file, then do this, then maybe do it 10 times, see if all the 10 times it works. I just want to show what happened with one new user. It gives somebody who is unregistered. So that is not in this list, and it didn't work. It says it's not matching, a big sad face. And here it will give me one new user log, and it will say that what was going on. And also the glitch performance, as you saw, it will be just slow, but then it opens and works fine. And as I have a lot of time wait, then it will not be very clear, and we have to put like an exemption of prompt time to just catch that one. So that one I didn't include. So basically, this is what I prepare, and this is the testing parts and all what I have.
So Luis, the next step would be to probably code this into like a test suite, right? Where you're using like PyTest or I'm blanking on the testing framework that comes with Python, but some kind of
unit test.
unit testing. Yeah, unit testing. So unit testing or PyTest. So where you have like an automated set of tests that you just run your tests and they pass or fail. Is that right?
Well, I was thinking about that because when I make the talk, I came to that topic in the Python 301 of testing, and I was like, oh, maybe this will be mixed together or not.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. So that's right.
So
I think that's exactly what you would want to do is what you've been
yeah,
doing with logs. And this is like the first step when you're figuring it all out. But if this was your website, you don't even want it to open in a web browser. You'd want to run it headless mode. So you just run
yeah,
the tests and it just runs in the background. And then you just look
yeah,
at your check marks and you see if the test passed or failed. And then
yeah.
every time you add something new functionality to your website, you can rerun your old tests and they should all still pass.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what I will expect is, as you said, yeah, to code like a suite of tests that now you have to test this case with this variable, it should give this value, and then that it access this file, for example, that it open this file and execute this code is how I think it will go. But as I haven't done it, I'm not quite sure exactly if it will be like that.
Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah,
I can look on it.
And
I can look on it, and actually we can code it and also make it available in the GitHub.
Yeah, I'd made a note of that, as well as taking a lot of that, like the username and the password and such, because you're going to have test users and test passwords. And if you go to commit all this to GitHub, those are secrets you don't want put up there. So there are ways that you could hide that as well and make this, I'm sitting here. I was thinking the exact same thing. It's like, how would I put this in unit test? How could I make this work? And so that now you got me jazzed to try and figure that out too. So can I integrate all this stuff and make it all work really nicely? So.
Yeah, in this case, this is a demo website, so it's totally fine to put the usernames and everything in GitHub. But normally you would need to set environment variables, load your environment variables, and do all of that. So you're
In this case, even they give you the password in the page.
Well, I think it's a great job.
Yeah.
I just want to
so much. Thank you.
He is everyone should know, all of our audience, actually, in the sense that he's like, he just told you he just learned about unit testing because he's only gotten, I sidetracked him, but 2 months ago I asked him to help me build a scraper, which is why he's been learning all this for a project at my university. So he's actually built an entire web scraper that scrapes phishing websites, because we're trying to collect information on the phishing websites. And that's why you have to use Selenium, because they're very evasive websites. They don't like to show themselves to normal scrapers. So you have to pretend to be a human when you're talking to them to get the data from them. And that's how he got here. But I'm just super impressed that he has made it so far in such a short amount of time. And this is really an amazing presentation, Luis. You did a really great job. So thank you for that. That's just my two little clap for Luis moment. And then I'll be quiet.
Agreed.
People.
Thank you, Villet.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. And one thing that can be really useful, Luis, is if you don't mind, when you push this up to GitHub, if you haven't already, please share the link with us and with a little nice README about the site that this is testing and stuff, so that we can share that with everybody when we share the video.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I have it in GitHub, but the README still I have to make it nice. So I will do and let you know.
Nice.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, it's late there, so you can wait until tomorrow. So
sorry.
I can see the time on your thing, and it's 11:30 there, so you don't have to do it tonight. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
One John Sessions asked another question for the Python pros. Is there a go-to framework for I think that's backend API integration testing? Are any of you guys familiar with a go-to framework for API integration testing for Python?
I am not. Ian, do you
Unfortunately.
have any idea?
I
Martin
mean, the
might know.
first name that comes to mind is PyTest, as sort of the go-to for things. I'm not sure if there is a specific one for backend API integration testing, but PyTest seems to be the big name.
I'm just
Awesome talk, by the way, Luis. Really
Yeah.
liked it. I was recently looking into testing with JavaScript, and I came across Mocha, and that was the easiest one for me to use. But obviously, this is a JavaScript framework, but it's super cool that Selenium can work with Python and JavaScript and everything. And yeah. Thanks so much.
No, thank you all of you. I'm very happy to do this. It's also a big challenge for me. Like, it's the first time I do something like this, so for sure it pushed me into some interesting new thing. So thank you.
You're
Thank you for
natural.
the opportunity.
It worked really well. Great talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the fact that you were basically all of your code was just popping in. It's like you had all this stuff prepped. It was ready to go, and all you were doing was just drop the code in place, and it worked. You know, I know I've done live demo stuff where I'm sitting there typing in code and it doesn't work. So you know, and we've had other folks who've done that where you type in code and it's like, okay, we're debugging on the fly here. So I love the fact that it was nice and smooth. So
Thank you.
so okay, so we got a couple minutes left. Are there any questions that anybody else has? We had some folks who were asking about reviewing the recording and asking specific Selenium questions. Obviously, if you have any specific Selenium questions, there is a web dev channel up on Slack if you're available there. If you're on the forum, there is a place for web development up on the forum as well. Feel free to drop whatever questions you have there. You know, Luis is there, most of the mentors are there, and you'll get somebody there who can answer your question or at least come up and say, yeah, I don't know, and help you Google the right answer. So, you know, just like this latest test on backend API integration testing. So I don't know if there's any other questions, any other comments. Luis, do you have anything to close up with here?
No, this was
I have one thing I want to add.
Yeah.
Luis, you're still sharing your screen. Can you share the Selenium dev website? Can you just show that? The main Selenium website?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go to the home of this though. Yeah. So just so everyone knows, so what Luis has been showing you is Selenium WebDriver. That's just one 3 things that they offer. We've just been looking at WebDriver. There's also an IDE, which I've never tried to use, but I guess it's to help you use Selenium better. And then there's a grid, which is designed for actually distributing and running tests on several machines and multiple endpoints. And so it's a very vast tool. And we just, you know, touched, Luis just touched the top of the iceberg with us today. So just so everybody's aware, this is a really, it's big. And if you scroll down a little bit, Luis, on the sponsors, you'll see that website so scroll down on this a little bit, you'll see the sponsors, Selenium level sponsors, Sauce Labs is there. That's you were using their website, Sauce Labs. So they're clearly, they've built the website that you were scraping was from Sauce Labs.
Yeah.
So they really put it up there for people to learn to use Selenium, which is just really cool. It's really nice.
Just want to add a quick anecdote. I know we're over time, but when I was interviewing a couple of years back, I remember I did an interview and the only thing they were interested in was whether I knew Selenium. And I said no, but
yeah, it's interesting stuff. And I think, you know, one final note is that when it comes to all this kind of testing, I think oftentimes it's confusing as to why we do it. Unit testing, integration testing, web testing, etc. Oh, am I frozen? Oop, check.
Some beautiful soup. You just got to keep digging. So, okay, if there aren't any other questions and no other closeouts, At this point, like I said, we thank Luis for being here. In case you didn't know, Luis is a student with us here at Coding Nomads. This is a thing that he has put together. This is something that, like Gilad had said, this is something that he has learned in order to support a project that Gilad has been working on. So, this is great stuff. If there is something that you want to hear about, something that you want to learn about, or something along these lines, a project you've been working on that you would like to share with us, please reach out to myself, reach out to Ryan, reach out to Kim. Let us know. We'll be happy to set you up, happy to give you an hour, and happy to let you share your experience and your expertise with the rest of us. I'm sure we'd all love to hear it as well. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Ryan, any closing remarks from our founder or our co-founder?
Nope, just great work, everybody. Thank you again, Luis, for the time and preparation. Really appreciate it. Thank you, John, for hosting, and thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Gilad, for your input. And yeah, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day.
Brilliant. We'll see everybody in a couple weeks. And Gilad and Luis, go to bed now. We'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by liking and subscribing. If there's another topic that you'd like to learn more about, leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. And if you want to become a coding pro, visit our website at codingnomads.co. See you next time.